Friday had always been known for one thing: hunger. I'm not talking about the normal hunger that you and I feel after staying a while without eating. His was deeper, insatiable, the kind that feels like his abdomen is on fire, whose flames would one day burn him. 30 minutes after he finishes eating, he starts feeling hungry again. He eats another round. 30 minutes later, the fire is back. He then eats again and the cycle continues. This hunger frustrates him so much that he would sometimes even break down in tears. Why can't this hunger just leave me alone? Who did I offend to deserve this kind of suffering? My tummy, my tummy. He would scream from morning to night till morning again, but he couldn't stop eating. Not because there's no food, but he's afraid that this hunger would kill him. His parents, Happiness and Chibuzo, were wealthy beyond measure. They always watched in bewilderment as their son consumed twice, then 3 times what other children his age ate in far shorter intervals. Friday would wake up in the middle of the night, tears streaming down his face, clutching his stomach as if something inside him was devouring his inside. They tried everything money could buy. They took him to the nutritionists, pediatricians, behavioral therapists, but none of them could point out a cause. One day, when Friday was 3 years old, Happiness and Chibuzo made a decision. They had gotten tired of this excessive eating. They would reduce his portions gradually, help him learn control, to save him from a future they could already see forming. For 2 weeks, Friday cried. He begged, he screamed, "Mommy, I want to eat. My belly, oh, my belly, oh." He kept screaming, but he held firm, believing they were doing the right thing. On the 3rd week, Friday collapsed. He didn't wake up for 3 days. His parents were devastated at the news. Happiness rushed to the hospital immediately she heard it, praying that nothing happens to her son. Chibuzo was heartbroken. He couldn't bear to look at his son's unconscious face, unable to forgive himself. 7-year-old Chioma had no idea of what was going on. She kept on asking when her brother would wake up from sleep. When Friday finally opened his eyes, his first words were, "I want to eat." From that day forward, the family made an unspoken pact. They would never deny Friday food again. Whatever the cost, they would never risk losing him like that. So they fed him and he grew and grew. Time flew and Friday grew. He learned early that his body was a spectacle, something people pointed out, something that made children laugh and adults look away with pity. By the time he was 10, he weighed more than most grown men. By 15, his weight was about 5 times those of his mates. But Friday had built walls around his heart, thick as the flesh that encased his body. He didn't care what they said. He couldn't afford to care, because caring meant confronting the truth that he was trapped in a circle he didn't understand, driven by a hunger that felt less like desire and more like survival. Food wasn't just sustenance for Friday, it became the only friend he never had, his own way of escaping from the trauma of loneliness. It became his only source of happiness, peace, and joy. It was the only friend that never abandoned him, never judged him, never walked away. His family watched helplessly. Happiness would sometimes cry in her room, wondering what she had done wrong. Chibuzo did the best he knew of. He threw money at the problem, the best doctors, the most expensive treatments, but nothing changed. Chioma tried to be his companion, his defender, but even she couldn't penetrate the fortress of resignation Friday had built around himself. He had accepted his fate. This was who he was. This was who he would always be, until Davina came into his life. Friday was 24 when he first saw her in the university cafeteria. She moved through the world with an ease he had never known before. Her laughter like sunlight breaking through storm cloud. And then she did something no one had ever done before. She sat beside him. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. For weeks, they talked about everything and nothing, about dreams and fears, and the strange beauty of existing in a world that often felt too harsh. Davina didn't see his size. She saw him, Friday, a person behind the flesh, And for the first time in his life, Friday felt something more powerful than hunger. He felt hope. Hope that he would no longer be lonely. That maybe he had finally found that one person for himself. One afternoon, beneath the shade of the campus oak tree, Friday gathered every ounce of courage he possessed. Davina, I think I have feelings for you. I want to become more than a friend to you. She smiled, but there was a sadness in her eyes. Friday, I think I like you too. I really do. But we can't be together. Not because of who you are, but because I'm worried about your health. I can't imagine how broken I will be if I lose you. The words hit him like a physical blow. Not rejection, but concern. She cared. She actually cared. That night, Freddie made a decision that would change everything. He would lose all these unnecessary weight no matter the cost. The first morning without breakfast, Freddie thought he would die. The hunger clawed at his inside, like a beast awakened and furious. He sat in class, tears streaming silently down his face, his body trembling with a need so profound it felt like suffocation. But he didn't eat. The second day was worse. The third, unbearable. By the end of the first week, he had fainted twice. His classmates whispered. His professors were worried, but Friday kept going. Months passed in a haze of agony. He would collapse in hallways, wake up in the university clinic, and return to his brutal routine. His parents begged him to stop. Choma cried for him. Even Davina pleaded with him. Friday, please. You don't have to do this for me. You will find someone better, someone who accepts you as you are. But her words had the opposite effect. They ignited something primal within him. He wasn't doing this for her anymore. He was doing this for himself. To prove that he wasn't powerless. To prove that he could control his own destiny. Still, something was wrong. Despite his determination, despite the hunger he endured, the weight barely budged. His body fought him at every turn, as if some invisible force was working against his will. And yet another collapse that nearly killed him. Friday made the decision. If willpower wasn't enough, he would find answers, real answers. He began visiting hospitals, first locally, then nationally, then international. His father's wealth opened doors to the most prestigious medical institutions in the world. Doctor after doctor examined him, tested him, and found nothing. But Friday refused to give up. 6 months into his journey, in a small clinic in Switzerland, a young endocrinologist named Dr. Muller noticed something others had missed, a rare hormonal disorder so uncommon that most physicians never encountered it in their lives. Friday's body was producing excessive amount of ghrelin, the hunger hormone, while simultaneously failing to produce adequate leptin, which signals fullness. His hunger had never been a choice. It has been a biological malfunction, a war his body was waging against itself from the moment he was born. With proper treatment, everything changed. The medication didn't erase the hunger completely, but it made it manageable. For the first time in his life, Friday could eat a meal and feel satisfied. He could skip a meal without feeling like he was dying. The weight began to fall away slowly, painfully slowly, but steadily. 3 years, that's how long it took. 3 years of discipline, of setbacks, of moments when he wanted to quit. 3 years of his family's unwavering support, of his parents finally releasing the guilt they had carried for 2 decades. And through it all, Davina was there, not as the goal, but as a friend, a witness to his transformation. When Friday finally looked in the mirror and saw someone he recognized, not because of his size, but because of the strength in his eyes, he realized something profound. He had won, not because he lost the weight, but because he had discovered that nothing, absolutely nothing, is impossible when you refuse to accept defeat. Today, Friday and Davina are married. They have a life built not on perfection, but on perseverance, on the understanding that our struggles don't define us. Our response to them does. Friday still remembers the hunger, but now he also remembers the victory. And he knows that somewhere, someone is fighting their own impossible battle, believing they're alone, believing they can't win. This is for them. Keep going. Find your answers and never ever surrender, because the only true impossible thing is the dream you stop fighting for.